Hi, everyone. First Alert Meteorologist Scott Gagliardi here with your Friday the 13th Weather Extra. We have a cloudy start to the day. Other than that, though, we're going to actually notice some partial clearing late day, or I should say late morning, and then to start the afternoon. But once those clouds come in late day, because they will return, that's when they're going to bring some rain with them. We're talking anytime after sunset tonight. So I wouldn't say it's a completely dry day just because we will see rain at some point today, but the daylight hours, there you go, they're just fine. Let's do some housekeeping because check this out. This is not the high temperature at Bradley. This was in Bridgeport, 90 degrees. When I saw that, I said, oh, it must be a record. But no, look at the record was back in 2017 of 93. So in the Hartford area, we were a couple degrees cooler than that. Either way, a very hot day, even along the shoreline yesterday. This has to do with the way the winds kind of set up, that southwesterly wind, just enough to not come off of the cooler Long Island Sound and just west enough to still bring in that heat. So Thursday in the Hartford area, 87. Notice Thursday was the hottest day of the week last week, this week, and some indications are even next week will also likely be the hottest day of the week. Plenty of time to fine-tune that. No rainfall for the past couple of days, but we'll get some once again tonight, a little bit, and then a little bit tomorrow morning. But Father's Day weekend trending a bit better. As far as Hartford, notice there's some sunshine out there. You can see some of the shadows. Temperature 64 degrees. A lot of clouds, though, for most of us, like New Haven. We're right now at 69 degrees. Looking across the Yale campus, it's an okay start to the morning, though. Out east a bit, New London, it's 68. There are a few clouds, high thin clouds, but it's also mixed with some of that haze and smoke once again. You see it a bit better on our Rocky Hill cam. This is facing towards the Hartford skyline. Yes, there are plenty of clouds, but there are also, some of those pollutants. Notice air quality much better to the north through upstate New York, Vermont, Pennsylvania, or Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. Here locally, looking at moderate issues. So very sensitive groups, just something to be mindful of if you're heading out later on today. Temperatures, a couple 70s on the map. 70 in Chester as well as Bridgeport. 60s for everybody else. Finally climbing out of the 50s for areas like Putnam and Salisbury, Tolland. Finally out of those 50s. So the warming trend continues. It won't be as warm as yesterday by any means. Looking at near 80 in Hartford and then those 70s, say mid-70s along the shoreline. If you plan on doing any yard work, today's a great day for it. It's an excellent day to mow the lawn, as we'll have that rain tonight and then to start tomorrow. So if you've been pushing that off, today is a great day to do that. You'll notice more sunshine as the day goes on through about 5, 6 o'clock, and then beyond that, the clouds do return. Wind speeds, they're generally out of the north and east, basically calm, up to 5, 6, 7 miles per hour. Not looking at any issues or any breeziness, not like we saw yesterday anyway, when we had gusts at times 20 to 30. Satellite and radar does show a lot of clouds, but that thinning out of those clouds, notice to the west, through parts of New York, the Hudson Valley, that's a good deal of clearing, and that will make its way into Connecticut over the next few hours. So not an entirely gray day. Temperatures across southern New England, 70 right now in New York City, 57 in Pittsfield, Mass, 59 in Worcester, and Boston near 63 degrees, 65 in Block Island. Not the best beach day, even to the south. Not looking like the greatest beach day today. Dew points, they are very low and they're comfortable. So that's some great news, and they'll stay that way through the weekend and even to start next week. They'll stay through about Monday. Beyond that, we're noticing a touch of mugginess Tuesday. Definitely, though, more feeling it more on Wednesday. And then by Thursday, we are hot and we are humid. First Alert Futurecast shows those clouds out there right now. But look what happens later this morning. Looking pretty good. Let's actually back that up so you can actually see. I mean, that's a good deal of clearing out there for everybody later on this morning and to start this afternoon. But once we get, say, just after sunset, the clouds return. They will lower and thicken, and we're looking at rain for the overnight hours and to start your Saturday. Here's 7 a.m. Some moderate rain just off to the south on Long Island. So we'll see if that makes its way into Connecticut. Either way, we're looking at a light rain, maybe a quarter of an inch. Best chance of maybe a half of an inch would be right along the immediate shoreline. but it's enough to water the gardens, water the grass. Everything's going to get wet tomorrow. And then besides a few isolated showers late day, we'll notice some improvements. So not a complete washout by any means for the second part of our Saturday. And then by Sunday, Father's Day itself, you're waking up to a lot of clouds, still a mostly cloudy day, winds out of the north and east. So that's not a dry, warm wind direction here in Connecticut. That's cooler and cloudier. But the conditions will improve as the day goes on. Once we get towards, say, around and after sunset, that's when we'll notice the skies begin to clear. And Monday, looking pretty good at this point. But rain again on a weekend. We've had 15. This coming weekend will make it 16 weekends in a row. And ironically, this is the last weekend of summer. This is the last weekend of spring. Next week will be the first full weekend of summer. And at that point, maybe we can finally shut this record that we don't like, or this streak, I should say. Not sure if it's a record. We're going to dive deep into the almanac and I'm going to check that out. But either way, yeah, it's been a very wet stretch. There was actually, so the last time we saw an entirely dry weekend was February 22nd and 23rd. The week before that, it snowed. So basically, you could say the last time it was dry on the weekend, both Saturday and Sunday, it was cold enough to snow. Wild stuff. But we are a ways away from any snow. The 6 to 10 day outlook is actually showing very strong signals of temperatures well above average. And by next week, our average high temperature bumps up to that 80-degree mark. Right now, we're still looking at the average high temperature, at least in the Hartford area. Well, that's 79. But over the next couple of days, we'll bump up to that 80-degree average high temperature. Now, for next week, this is one of the computer models. We use plenty of them in helping us kind of decipher which days will be warm, cooler, rainy, dry, etc. But here's just one little look. So next Wednesday, likely a nice warm day. We're not forecasting temperatures this high, but still, the chance exists. But check out Thursday. Wow, that is a toasty day. That is not something we've seen so far this year. And it is not what we're currently forecasting, but it's an option. It certainly is on the table that we could reach those 90s. Right now, forecasting about 89 for Thursday. This is the first day of the Travelers Championship, which, if you remember last year, was stifling basically the entire tournament. In this case, it's looking like Thursday. Remember we mentioned Thursday is the hottest day of the week. And at this point, yeah, that could likely be the case. Still very warm, though, on Friday. Temperatures well up into the 80s. But what I look at is the wind direction. So notice we back it up to Thursday, right out of the south and west. And yeah, we know here in Connecticut, that is a hot and humid wind direction for the summertime. Technically Thursday, last full day of spring. But watch what happens to those wind arrows when we get to Friday. They shift out of the north and west. So we know at some point in that Thursday, Friday time frame, we're looking at the possibility of a cold front passing through. So yeah, there's a chance we'll see some storms. Right now we are forecasting those for next Thursday. But overall, just know that the trend for next week will be to warm us up, increase our humidity, and our chance for those afternoon summer-like storms increases, especially starting on Thursday. Forecast highs today, though, not bad, about 80, seasonable in the Hartford area. 75 for New Haven, 75 in Bridgeport. That's going to feel quite different from the 90s you saw yesterday. 15 degrees cooler. Right along the immediate shoreline, southeast Connecticut, held back to within a few degrees of 70. Tonight, those clouds redevelop and those showers begin to fall anytime after sunset. And temperatures, they don't fall that much tonight, within a degree or two of 60. Your first alert 7-day forecast. So those showers come in late tonight. Most of the day today is just fine. Tomorrow, those showers stick around still through the early morning hours. And then beyond that, an isolated shower. Tomorrow's a very cloudy day. Notice it's only 69. On Father's Day itself, though, looking pretty good. Isolated shower chance. We're talking less than 5 or 10%. It's really clouds and then eventually some breaks in the clouds late day, 72. Monday, 75. Still a good deal of cloud cover. Same thing on Tuesday. But temperatures, notice the steady increase. By Wednesday, it's muggy, 83. I have the Pro-Am over at the Travelers Championship. And then first day of tournament play, That's on Juneteenth. It's also the last day of spring, last full day. Temperatures by then, we're forecasting 89, but as you just saw, it could end up being a little bit warmer than that. So we'll keep a close eye on how things trend over the next couple of days. Along the shoreline, 60s this weekend, 70s to start next week, and then even looking at those 80s returning by next Thursday. All right, other than that, have a great day. Have a great Father's Day weekend. We will be back for another First Alert Weather Extra tonight at 9:30. All right, have a great day and a great weekend.